Hello, everybody. I'm here talking about Astonishing Tales featuring the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a reprint of the first appearance of the Guardians of the Galaxy, 25 cents. Okay, Astonishing Tales was a Jack Kirby vehicle. It had the Inhumans, it had Black Widow, and then it also debuted uh, like Deathlock, Luther Manning, Deathlock, and a few other. Moon Knight came from this also. Uh, no, Moonlight was Marvel Spotlight. I'm sorry. Okay, now, but this is not the first appearance. This is a reprint of the first appearance, and I got to say, this is in amazing condition. This is such good condition, and look, there's Yondo. That's what he looked like in the comics. Looks like he's naked, but he has pants that are slightly different. Okay, this is Martin X. If you remember the scene with Sylvester Stallone and there was like a crystal-looking guy next to him, that's him. That's Martin X. That's Charlie 27. There was a big brute-looking guy standing by Sylvester Stallone that I think they mentioned by name. I know they said Martin X. And this is Vance Astro. Okay, this is four men against a savage, far-flung future. Okay. The reason why this comic came out is Astonishing Tales got behind schedule, so they just grabbed an already existing comic and put it out to give them a month respite because of deadline woes. There's Charles Atlas, look a lot like Andy Kaufman. Okay, here's the splash page. Look at that artwork. Okay, when we get to the credits, I'll talk about that in a second. But that's the splash. A splash page is usually the first page of a comic that's one panel. I mean, this is not a classic because it has these two little panels, but it's a splash page, one big gigantic, a lot of setup. The year 3007. Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy were originally in the future. Very different than what we have today. It's Charlie 27, native of Jupiter. You know, in the comics, the Guardians of the Galaxy were bioengineered to exist on the planets in the solar system. And Charlie 27 was the 27th clone of Charlie, and each one was slightly denser and stronger than the previous one, bioengineered to withstand the gravity on Jupiter. So that's why he's short and squat. Martin X was bioengineered to live on Pluto, Pluto, so he could survive the extreme cold, and his body would absorb sunlight and magnify it to increase his temperature so he could survive. And then he could also shoot laser beams. Yondo was from Alpha Centauri, so he's the actual only alien, and everybody on his planet looks like him. That fin is organic to his people, and he's very zen-like and peaceful and calm and a pacifist, unlike the okay, and that's Vance Astro. He was a human from our time that went in a spaceship, and I think the spaceship went off course and he was lost. And 1,000 years later, he was revived by these people, the Guardians. So he's a human, and he's a prisoner. This is like a metallic suit that he wears, and if he takes it off, his skin would crumble because he's so old. Okay, written by Arnold Drake, penciled by Gene Colan, inked by Mike Esposito, lettered by Herb Cooper. Okay, little thing about Arnold Drake is he's famous for creating the Guardians of the Galaxy. He also created the Doom Patrol for DC Comics. The Doom Patrol is now a TV series. It's supposed to be good. I haven't seen it yet. But the Doom Patrol is about a group of misfits who's led by a genius in a wheelchair, and it came out the same month as the X-Men. So either a coincidence or, you don't want to think industrial espionage, Marvel and DC. Excuse me. But a lot of the people were friends and ideas, or who knows what was going on in pop culture at the time. I'm not that aware. What was that, 1965? And these are the aliens, the Badoon. Badoon would come and conquer. I haven't seen this comic in 20 years. This is taking me back. Okay, the ads. Badoon were interstellar conquerors. I'm surprised they haven't introduced them in the movies yet. But they're just generic space aliens, except everybody hates them. They're considered just jerks everywhere. Okay, it's Charlie 27 fighting with the Badoon. You know, here he is fighting. Everything's going by. And oh yeah, another fact about the writer Anton Drake is local Queens guy from Fresh Meadows. He also wrote the first graphic novel called It Rhymes with Lust. Okay, he pitched the idea of making adult, not dirty, but you know, adult picture novels. It was like 150 pages, and what's the man's name? The artist. It's gonna drive me nuts. I can't remember the artist's name. I should prepare stuff, but I kind of like doing this off the cuff. I'm trying to do it off from memory. I want to do research and make it seem like rehearsed. But the artist, he was the first black comic book artist, and then they went serious and did It Rhymes with Lust. I bought a reprint of it. It's a superhero, you know. I mean it's a soap opera about a guy who goes out on a ranch, falls in love, and the woman may or may not have murdered her husband for insurance. It was good. It would make like a good soap opera story. Okay. Rent a servant. You get yourself a robot French maid and a butler. Charlie, here comes Martinex. Crystal. I'm Martinex. Pleased to meet you, Charlie 27. Okay. This is the Emperor of the Badoon, because you gotta be sitting on a throne, you know. And then of course there's always a vizier next to him. That's Francestro, just in this purple suit. You can see the flesh under his eye slits. I wonder why they don't crumble, and maybe he has crystal goggles or whatever. And if I remember correctly, Francestro, over the 1,000 years, his mind was active, piloting the ship while his body was dormant. And over the 1,000 years of having an active mind, he unleashed telekinetic and telepathic abilities. And then later on, they brought him back into the regular Marvel timeline as the superhero Justice, the leader of the New Warriors. It's the same character, just 1,000 years in time. And here he is. You know, he thought he was going to go to Alpha Centauri in this ship that would take 1,000 years to get there and be hailed as a explorer. But when he got there, he had found humans already colonized Alpha Centauri, because in the 1,000 years that he was traveling, they perfected better warp drives and got there first. So it wasn't really in vain. He's still a hero, but he wasn't the first space explorer that he thought he was going to be. So he's kind of mentally defeated at this point. And kind of sad. Okay. Hypnotize women with your TV set. Learn karate. There you go. Grow a goatee. I love those ads. Here we go. He's being taunted by the Emperor. Give him a gun. Now he's got to kill Yondo for his freedom, you know, because the Badoon are cruel. And you don't see the Badoon women. Later on you find out that they're even more cruel, so that the men are afraid of them, and they only meet up to mate, and they live on different planets because the men and women just freaking hate each other. Okay, so here you find out that Yondo could whistle and control his arrows. It's a property of the metal itself, not the headdress like in the movies. But you know, things change. The movies were good. I still like the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And here they team up. They realize they're not bad guys. He's firing his telekinetic bolts. I don't know why they gave him a gun, but I guess they didn't. You want to learn kung fu and karate? Oh yeah, what? The original comic came out in 1968, the year I was born. So Guardians of the Galaxy is 50 years old. But this is 1975, April 1975. And April wasn't the month it was on sale. April was the month that you could return it. Here we go. Yep, April. That was the date to tell the seller to rip off the covers and turn it and give it back, and you'd get a credit. So I was always confused as a kid why the month on my comic didn't match the month it was for sale. But it was the month that it was to be returned. The Mighty Thor. I love that. I gotta get my Jack Kirby Thors. They're some of the best. Oh my god, they're so good. Okay, we're back to this. Back to the goatee. Yando and Vance Astro. Vance Astro is big. I used to play a game called Villains Vigilantes. I still play it, and one of the characters is based on Vance Astro. Okay, and here they all get together. There's Charlie, and they beat their way out of the Vadoon, commandeer a spacecraft, come back to Earth, and they realize that they're gonna, Guardians of the Galaxy. What they're really doing is liberating the solar system, but Guardians of the Galaxy is a better, rolls off the tongue better. Okay, later on they get a woman with, like, I never knew if it was actual fire for hair or her hair just looked like fire, named Nikki. She was from Mercury. Then they get Starhawk, the one who knows. And Sylvester Stallone played him in the movies, but he looks nothing like the character. Get some other Guardians of the Galaxy comics. There's some right here, I think. Marvel Tales. Torch, the Thing. There's Marvel Team Up. I thought I had more Guardians of the Galaxy right here. Yep, Marvel Superheroes. There's 2 copies of that. Marvel Superheroes. Giant Size. Oh, Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man. First appearance of that. Okay. Some old Marvel Tales. Well, I thought I had Guardians of the Galaxy, but Starhawk is, I forget his story, but he's a man and a woman who merged together. And sometimes he appears as male, sometimes he appears as female, and then he knows everything. And then later on in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic, they reveal that he was from the future sent back in the past, and that's why he knew everything. It was pretty interesting, even though the comic Guardians of the Galaxy, the one before the reboot with Rocket Raccoon and Groot, yeah, it was okay. But here you go, Guardians of the Galaxy. This is their first appearance. This is what they really look, the original. This is what they look like for most of my life. And I should break out some Star-Lord comics too. Okay, please like this. Please subscribe. I'm starting out slow and hoping to work my way up. Just put in the comments what kind of comics you'd like to see next. If you're enjoying this, any improvements, how to make thumbnails. I'm starting and I don't know anything about actual YouTubing. So your feedback is very much appreciated. Thank you. Good night.